Hey guys, Samir here from PSR, and I've got some bad news to tell you about and in fact show you today. Today's the 25th of September, Monday. 2 days ago on the 23rd, I was involved in a car accident where my car was T-boned and by a Honda Pilot, and I call it a disaster. Many people would look at what happened and be like, oh, it's not that bad, but really, you'll understand why it is bad here in a moment. Anyway, I'm just going to show you the damage, and then we'll get into what exactly happened. Alright, so here's the car, obviously. I'm really hoping you can see all the nice details on the camera. Let's just start from the back. So first of all, we got the bumper here. It's mostly just trade paint, scratches. I mean, honestly, a respray would probably fix this. That's not terrible. We'll leave the middle for last here. The front door, oh, this is where the worst damage is. Right here, oh god, just a little scratch right there. Yeah, that's about the extent. Oh, and right there. Right there, also got a little something. Obviously, the brunt of the damage is here in the door and in the quarter panel. So, basically, this door is screwed. You know, saving this door would be pointless. The bumper might be salvageable, but the door is just absolutely gone. Replacing it would be optimal. Amazingly, it still works, and I'll show you that here in a moment. But yeah, it's pretty heavily dented, even down here, all over. I mean, there's just dents everywhere. It seems pretty malleable, honestly. Big scratch across. Now the quarter panel. There's some trade, like here and there, like some of this really isn't that bad. Obviously, the main point we're focusing on is right here. And actually, as soon as the impact occurred, I noticed my rear tire lock up, and it's not as bad now because I messed with it a little bit so that I could get the tire off. But this whole thing was pulled down into the tire, and of course, when I had to move the car out of the road, it partially dug into the tire a little more. So I haven't really gotten the tire inspected yet, though, so that we'll figure out. But now you'll see that the door fully opens and closes like nothing's wrong. So that's appreciated at least. But let's take a look at the inside here. So as you can see, this is not good. This is pretty heavily mangled. As you can, like, this whole thing is crinkled in. You see how this line is all nice? It's supposed to continue like that all the way down to here. Here it's pushed in, pushed over, pushed down from up here. It is just absolutely destroyed. And the crease that was here is no longer a crease. It's basically flat. And then, of course, you got the actual outside of the quarter panel here all screwed up. And then everything underneath, I mean, it's just not great. This is a dreadful accident. And this is mostly why. I am not a body expert. I'm not a car body expert. I'm not a bodywork expert. But I could safely guess that fixing this, realigning this, putting all that crappy Bondo on it, whatever it takes, would be just as expensive, possibly more, than just cutting out the entire quarter panel and replacing it with a clean, straight piece. Honestly. Not to mention the fact that this quarter panel is already no good. You might notice that this line isn't as crisp as OEM is, and that's because this was already damaged prior. It's already got Bondo in it. It's not worth salvaging this thing again, I wouldn't say. But yeah, so I mean, this is where most of it is. I'm riding on the spare because I told you it's not possible to drive on with the wheel. This is just too caved in. I mean, you can just take a look here. From both ends. I mean, it's just so caved in. The wide tires just don't fit. Let me go ahead and open the trunk real quick. Okay, here we are. So the wheel itself, it's really not bad. Structurally, it's not bad, but as you can see, it's got some like blue trade-off over here. Basically, the entire edge has been scraped, and that's because his see, especially here, it's bad. One of the bolts off of his, one of the screws off his license plate fixture actually got jammed in between the tire and the wheel. And yeah, I'm assuming it didn't get jammed immediately. I'm assuming it hit, stuck around for a little bit, and then got jammed. And it doesn't really seem flat, just off of my own strength, but when I was taking it off, I don't know, it seemed a little flat, so I'm thinking it might be punctured somewhere. As you can see here, it's a little damaged, but I mean, you can see this line here. That's from the quarter panel being shoved into it. It's actually sort of deep in some spots. You can stick your fingernail in them, but I'm sure it's fine. That's just the tread. And here's the actual damage to the tire, just a little trade. That's no big deal. But I mean, the wheel, let's take a look at the other side. Yeah, there's no cracks, there's nothing. It's filthy as can be, but the wheel itself seems to be in good condition. And these tires are, you know, they're not old tires. These are basically new tires, so it's an absolute shame. So on the day of the accident, I was just heading on down the road, 35 miles an hour, you know, heading westbound, when there was a truck in front of me, a Silverado, maybe 150, 200 feet in front of me at most. This Honda Pilot, I notice it has a boat on a trailer, and I noticed him start to kind of creep out into the road right before the truck was coming towards him. And he was trying to get to the middle lane going eastbound, the suicide lane, you know, hazard lane. And like I said, I saw him pull out a little bit, but then I saw him stop because the truck was coming, obviously. At this point, I was in the left lane. It was a 2-lane road, well, 5-lane road, 2 lanes going west. And I was in the left lane, and he starts coming out a little bit more, probably halfway into the right lane. And at that point, I get scared. I'm like, whoa, I'm only like, you know, 50, 100 feet away from this guy. He's still coming. But then I see him stop. So I'm like, okay, we're fine again. But then he guns it. He just starts coming out. And I honk, and I move over into the middle lane a little bit. It's too late to stop. I'm too close to him to stop. And then he strikes me, and I get launched into the middle lane. Not very far. Like I said, by the time the accident actually occurred, I was probably only going 25 miles an hour. He was going at most 10. And that was it. The guy was actually very unreasonable at first. He had camera footage in his car, and he claimed it was my fault. He was like, I hope it was worth it, is what he told me. He said, I hope it was worth speeding excessively so that I would hit you in this way. And I'm just like, I didn't want to make a scene. I like to remain civil during these sorts of things. I know the law's on my side. I have no reason to fight with this guy. I just told him, like, look, hey, like, I'm glad you have camera footage. Like, that's good. It protects both of us in case there's some sort of screw up. When the police showed up and saw his footage and just assessed the scene, took pictures, did whatever he needed, he came to the conclusion that he failed to yield. He was like, you know what this camera footage shows me? It shows me that you failed to yield. And so he gave him a citation, presumably. I'm not sure if he actually received a ticket, but the officer noted that on the police report, that he failed to yield. And so in terms of liability, I should be safe. I don't think it was my fault. I'm really certain it wasn't my fault. And that's basically what happened. So even after all that, some of you might be saying, oh, that's still not that bad. Get a new quarter panel, repaint the bumper, get a new door, you're all set. Well, let's talk about these Civics. This is a 96 Honda Civic. It's got almost 135,000 miles on it. So it's, I mean, for 22-year-old car standards, that's not really that bad. But how much would you guess it's worth on Kelley Blue Book? 3,000, 2,500, maybe, like in fair condition? No, in excellent condition, with 135,000 miles, with all the options that are on this car, and I'm not talking about aftermarket parts, I'm talking about the options that are on the actual car, the LX, it's worth at most $1,780. Yeah, $1,780. That's nothing. And I personally think that's absolutely bogus. I mean, for 130,000 miles, this thing could easily get to 200. It's got a rebuilt transmission, a very healthy motor. It should have no problem getting there. And it's just absolutely bogus to me that for basically the cost of wheels and coilovers, that's what the car is worth. That just makes no sense to me. But that's how it is. That's the reality you have to deal with here. What do you think it costs to fix all this? I mean, maybe if the bumper only needed a respray, 150, 200 for that. Finding a new door and painting it, a few hundred. I don't know. Quarter panel? That could easily be upwards of $1,000. In fact, I'm positive it is. I'd even hazard to say that this whole thing could be over $2,000 worth of damage. Basically what I'm getting at here is I'm positive, like 95% sure that they're going to total this car. When the insurance adjuster comes out, or when he has me go to a shop or whatever, they're probably going to tell me, like, yeah, this car is not worth fixing. So here we are. Now, obviously, I don't know what's going to happen. I haven't gotten an estimate yet. I'm actually here right after this video. I'm going to go get an estimate just to satisfy my own curiosity. I'm sure the insurance adjuster will come to his own conclusion, and if not, he'll make me go to another shop again to get a more up-to-date estimate, just to make sure there was no foul play, or, you know, just maintain professionalism or whatever, you know, whatever bogus reason. But if they don't total it, obviously I'm going to repair it. I'm going to keep the car as is. But if they do total it, that's where I'm sort of feeling iffy at the moment. If they do total it, will I buy it back? It'll all depend on what the insurance adjuster allows me to do. If he allows me to take off, you know, certain parts and replace them with the stock parts and whatnot, I will. You know, it's sort of that's part of why I'm getting the estimate. Okay, if he makes it clear that they'll total it, I'll probably just go ahead and, you know, take off my Top 1 Motors Aero, replace the wheels to my Steelies, and, you know, just whatever else I feel is salvageable or worth taking off. That way I can keep those parts, transfer them to something else, or possibly sell them, give them away, whatever it is. But then again, if you're unsure of whether or not they'll total it, you might not want to take the parts off because the parts may add value. Now, of course, that all depends on the kind of insurance plan you have and what the policies are of that particular company. And I don't personally know what the policies are of the other driver's company, so I don't know if they'll take into account, you know, damage to aftermarket wheels, or like the fact that I've got, you know, some nice parts under the hood, or a sound system, or anything like that. I really don't think they will. I can't say I have too much experience with insurance myself, but that's just what I think. I really don't think they'll take that into account. So that's a worry I have. But of course, like I said, after I get the estimate, I'll determine what I can take off and leave on. But if they do total it, I'll consider buying it back and then part it out, maybe get it drivable again, maybe keep it, maybe just sell it in the state it's in. Just basically get this out further, get the quarter panel pushed out further. That way I can put a normal size wheel and tire under there, and then I can sell it for cheap, you know, and then basically make back the money I should have made when they did total it to begin with. Of course, all this is going to depend on how much they give me for the totaled car, how much it'll cost to get the car back from them, you know, what fraction of that amount I'll have to give up in exchange for the car, and how many parts I can salvage and sell, how much I would get for parting it out / junking it, and how much I could get from just straight up selling it. Of course, there's a lot of questions to ask, and in case I didn't say exactly where in the process I'm at, I filed the claim. I filed the claim this morning. We're waiting for a response from the other driver. If he claims liability, we move forward. I'm not exactly sure what happens if he claims that I'm liable, but there's security footage and obvious evidence to suggest that it was not my fault. I had the right of way, and yeah. So obviously at this point, there's nothing else I can really do aside from just sit around and wait. I haven't even gotten to inspecting the underside of this car yet. I'm not sure if the suspension is all right. It seems to drive fine, but I haven't actually gotten it inspected. God, why do I have so much trouble saying that? I'm sure the alignment's slightly off. That accident probably caused that. There was contact with my tire and wheels, so that's a likely scenario. But, you know, we'll just see how it goes. We'll wait for a response. I'm hoping that within the week I'll get a response of some kind. Maybe an insurance adjuster will come out before the weekend. That way they can just get it all taken care of. And then from there, we'll move on. When I know more, I'll let you guys know. Of course, Follow us on Instagram. The link's always in the description. And my personal Instagram, in case you're interested, is PSR_EJ6. And that's it. So if you wanted to see my personal Instagram and follow this a little more closely, you can do that. Make sure to also follow our team one. That way you can just stay on top of this sort of thing. But you'll definitely know there before you know on YouTube. YouTube is definitely, it's definitely a lot harder to relay info because making a video is much more difficult than just taking a picture and then writing a caption. So, yeah. But like I said, when I know more of what's going on and know what's going to happen going forward, I'll let you guys know more updates, either on Instagram or on YouTube, but most likely Instagram. If I decide to make another video, you'll definitely know about it. And I appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate you watching. Wish me luck with all of this. Like I said, I'm going to go get a preemptive estimate right now. There's probably a creature behind me or something. Just out in the weeds. I'm going to go get an estimate right now to satisfy my own curiosity and just get a preemptive estimate. And then from there, I'm going to go ahead and... paranoid now. I'm going to go ahead and wait. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. This has been Samir, and I'll see you next time.